You're gonna be okay.
Tomorrow I got surgery at gotta be there at 5:45, so gotta go to bed here pretty soon. I have what's called a nodule or a node on my vocal cord, and it comes from a multitude of things. It comes from physical stress. Obviously it comes from singing, and I went through some traumatic shit with my family, and my wife had split up, so emotionally I was wrecked. Get in! Oh, that's pretty epic. I mean, that's fucking epic. You are, damn, you fucking came with it. Special delivery.
JACOBY started having vocal problems. We were in the studio, and it was definitely noticeable that he wasn't 100%, and it was just killing him. It was bringing him down, and all sorts of fears were coming into play. Is this the end?
It's a big scare for someone like me. My voice is my livelihood, and I'm in the process of making this record. I'm fucking getting my life together. I just had all these commitments to, quit smoking cigarettes. I'm gonna write the fucking record of my lifetime, and bam, and all the while I'm doing all this positive stuff, and at the end, I get to the end of it, and we got this record that, I'm just so happy and proud about. I go out on tour, and my voice is just giving out.
I never really felt that kind of fear and uncertainty during a show.
And everybody in my band's kind of starting to get edgy, Tobin is kind of a perfectionist, and he's we gotta get this fucking shit right.
Tobin initially, and me as well, backing him up, that said, we gotta get your voice right.
His voice just sounded wrecked. Even when he was talking, it sounded like it fucking hurt.
And I understand some of his frustration, because I was just as frustrated, and we want to present ourselves as this fucking band that's, we come up with a song still swinging, and my voice is just kind of hurting, and it fucking sucks. I started seeing a vocal coach in New York, this lady named Melissa Cross. Awesome hard rock vocal coach.
JACOBY came to me a couple months ago, and I noticed that he is incredibly talented. He pushes a lot, but he gets away with it because he has so much strength.
She directed him on how to warm up, he literally had to wake up in the morning and warm his voice up properly, instead of just talking and doing everything normal like everybody else does.
I was doing those exercises, speech warm-up exercises and vocal warm-up exercises, and I was doing that every day, and I came back out on tour, and 3 shows in, I didn't have a voice. I was just I was on stage, and I knew it before I went on stage. I'm man, my voice it just isn't right, I'm in there warming up, and it just progressively got worse and worse and worse, and I'm standing on stage in front of 10, 12,000 people, and I'm just I'm embarrassed.
JACOBY is a perfectionist. He wants to be the best for his fans. He loves his fans. And I'm sure that he was devastated that his voice was so bad that he couldn't sing anymore.
I told the crowd after the first song, I'm yo, I'm having a fucking hard time, my voice is fucked up. I'm gonna do my best, I'm gonna help me out, sing with me, man, I'm gonna do my best, and that's all I can do. Let's fucking have a good time,
It was pretty emotional, and even though the performance aspect of it wasn't the best, everybody could tell that he was doing his best.
We tried to do another tour, and it was just evident that he just couldn't handle it, and rather than do a ton more damage, we had to pull out of the Uproar tour, which was a huge bummer.
So I asked JACOBY for the picture of his vocal cords.
A picture of his vocal cords taken and came back with a nodule on it.
And the doctor was like, yeah, man, you got a node. And it was just like, I'm like, fuck.
So he has an extremely great ear, nose, and throat doctor, Dr. Sugarman,
I'm Dr. Joe Sugarman. I'm an ear, nose, and throat specialist.
who's famous. I mean, he's the guy.
It's got Dr. Sugarman, and he's done like all the greats, you know what I'm saying? He did Michael Jackson. I mean, I don't know exactly what all he did, but I know he did Michael Jackson. And that's like, what's up?
Doing that procedure, that type of procedure, I guess it's a 6 to 8 week healing process. So we kind of put it in the back, you know, we were sort of hoping that it would be remedied before we had to go in and, you know, go through that process.
I figured in my head that we'd have a little time between, you know, recording and going out on the road, but that wasn't the case.
He had been working with his vocal coach, and they were kind of cautiously optimistic he could get through the tour. It just didn't turn out that way.
We don't want anything to happen permanently to his voice, so let's just do it. You know, it was a hard decision that we had to make.
You know, fuck, man, walking away from this tour, you know, 10,000 people a night.
But this is the first time, even in my life, that I've ever had to cancel any tour that I've ever been on. And it was probably one of the biggest tours of the summer too. And we were just 3 days in, 3 shows in. It was heartbreaking. It was just like, once we realized this wasn't gonna happen, we just went from, we're gonna try and make it on this tour to like, we're going home.
You know, it's like this internal push and pull, this whole dialogue is going on in my head about how I'm gonna let everybody down. But everybody was mad supportive, man. You know, I really think I needed that kind of like push.
People were very supportive.
Yeah, word up, I'm going to get my surgery right now. The closer I get to this dang hospital, the more nervous I'm starting to get. Said my prayers this morning. I said my prayers for my doctor.
As far as JACOBY's surgery was concerned, we tried to avoid it. He was treated with steroids.
It is an amazing operation where they just cut off the little scar off the vocal fold.
Preserving the muscle underneath. Because if the muscle is nicked, it can cause permanent damage on the voice.
I think one of the most difficult things is just for me to like, shut the fuck up.
The difficult thing about surgery is that they take off the lumps or lump, but God help them if it takes off all of them and they can't get that distorted sound anymore.
But man, it's just kind of freaky, you know, to know that like this thing that like I've worked all my life for, you know, it could be taken away, you know?
I was nervous. Like when I got home, I started thinking, I was like, man, like if this doesn't get fixed, I mean, this could be it. You know, we could be done.
Well, you just never know for absolutely certain how it's going to heal.
Just something like that teeny, and I'm fucking terrified.
Say bye. Love you.
Love.